Okay, so earlier this week, sorry about the lighting, I'm doing this on my tablet because I don't have fancy equipment. This is not my job. Um, so pardon me on the darkness of the video. Hopefully when I upload it to YouTube I can edit it better. But anyway, so I uploaded a video because there's been quite a few videos uploaded arguing against male circumcision. One of the main arguments against male circumcision is comparing it to female circumcision that they do in other countries. I'm wording it as female circumcision, although if you look up the term female circumcision on Google, your results will say female genital mutilation. However, if you look up male circumcision on Google, you will get search results that say male circumcision. You don't tend to get results that say male genital mutilation, okay? I'm going to call it female circumcision right now because I got a lot of views on the video, which shocked me, to be honest. I don't consider myself a YouTube creator. I do this kind of for shits and giggles. But I got a lot of views. One of the comments, and a few comments too, which is great, because this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted a discussion. One of the comments that I did get, which when I pull up my video, it's the second comment. If I could, I'm going to try to figure out how to link the original video to this one so you guys can see. But one of the comments said, the type of female genital mutilation that you mentioned, I'm quoting here, is type 3. It's very rare and mainly done in some villages in Ethiopia and Somalia. Most FGM, these are not my words, most FGM is type 1A. That is the pricking or removal of the clitoral hood only. This is the Muslim requirement, and like 90% of Egyptian women have it done. Okay? Now, when it's worded like that, that is what I would consider female circumcision. My understanding and what I had done to my boys when they were infants was the removal of the foreskin. I was told that it would medically benefit their health, in that it would reduce the risks of infections and sexually transmitted diseases in the future. It was explained to me and their father that having the foreskin removed would reduce the risk of bacteria festering between the foreskin and the head of the penis. That it would be easier to keep the baby's penis clean, and once it healed, and therefore, would reduce the risk of diseases. This is why we did it to our boys. It wasn't for religious reasons. I'm not a religious person. I tried, but that's a different thing. That's a totally different. But their father and I sat down and discussed it when I was pregnant with our first child. I did take a class about circumcision. They never said it was mandatory. They never said it guaranteed anything. They just said having it removed could reduce the risk of infectious diseases. That's why we did it. Cut and dry. When my daughter was born, that wasn't ever brought up. Okay? It was never brought up that if she had her clitoral hood removed, that it would reduce the risk of her getting infectious diseases or even cancer. Had that been brought up, being a parent, your number one priority is your children's health and well-being. Number one. Nothing else matters. You don't think about their future sex lives. I want to stress that. We were not thinking about my son not being able to have a fulfilling sex life. We were thinking about him having a healthy life. If the same information would have been presented to me when my daughter was born, 7 years later, I may have had, and then that's probably going to cause a shit storm if 100 people watch this video like they did my last one. But I may have had the procedure done to her. And mostly I think my thing is fairness, basically. If one is good for one, it should be good for the other. If like for example, my daughter had her tonsils and adenoids removed. Why? Because it would benefit her health to have them removed. Her health condition prior to having her adenoids and tonsils removed was not very good. She got strep throat all the time. She had sleep apnea. There were health issues involved with that. To solve those health issues, we had the tonsils and adenoids removed when she was 4. Had they realized how big the tonsils and adenoids were in comparison to her body size before she was 4, we may have had it done beforehand because it would have benefited her health. Given the information that I'm given today, if I don't use the terms that are out there, like I said, for medical reasons, if it's just a removal of skin to, stop the festering of bacteria and infectious disease viruses and whatnot, there is a possibility. Now, my oldest son is 23, my youngest son is 18, so a lot has happened in the medical community regarding circumcision. Now they're finding out that it's not really medically necessary to have the foreskin removed. It doesn't really cut down the risk of infectious diseases like they had thought 23 years ago, and more than that, because I've gotten responses from other men that would be of my father's generation, and they had circumcisions. Now, during their time, I think it was kind of a mandatory automatic thing. You pop out the boy, you circumcise the penis, end of story. That's why, like I said in my previous video, in my entire adult life in dealing with infant penises, doing daycare, and adult penises being a nurse aide, I've only ever seen one uncircumcised penis on an infant. So it's relatively common in the States to circumcise your boys. It's no longer mandatory. The parents are given the option. There are, according to this comment, obviously many types of female circumcision. This is the way I'm wording it. And some of the female circumcision, though, however, does sound like it is actually mutilating the female genitalia. Like I stated in my first video, when you look it up, Wikipedia comes up, and it makes it sound like it is the removal of several external female genitalia, which is why it's termed as female genital mutilation. The reason that I consider these different things is because one type of circumcision removes more genitalia than the other type, commonly. But, like I said, I got this comment, there's different types of female circumcision. Okay, so, if by pricking and removing the clitoral hood would reduce my daughter's risk of contracting AIDS, sexually transmitted diseases, cervical cancer, anything like that, that might be something I might do as a parent, because you don't want your children contracting these diseases. You want your children to live long, healthy lives. Um, you know, this would have happened 16 years ago with her. Now we're finding out that it's not the case, that there's no definitive difference between an uncircumcised penis and a circumcised penis in reducing the risk of infectious diseases. Now, having that information, I probably would not have had my boys circumcised. Because why put them through an unnecessary procedure that is not going to better their overall health? Okay. So, if I continue to read this comment, okay, the removal of the clitoris is type 1B and was not done to oppress women. It was done to stop women getting too aroused during the ovulation cycle. And docs found that removing the clitoris stopped it. Now you could take medication. For example, I'm on the depot shot right now, so I have very little actual sex drive. So, you go on birth control. I still am confused about this statement in that what is the purpose of preventing a woman from getting aroused during her ovulation cycle? Why would you do that? I would think you'd want your woman to be aroused, because when we're aroused, we want sex, and in order to procreate, we need to have sex. That I don't understand why that would be a thing. But removing an entire clitoris, I would consider mutilation. Removing the hood, which to me sounds like a piece of skin, and I'm not a doctor or anything, I wouldn't consider mutilation in the way that the word mutilation is used today. I understand that if you look up mutilation in the dictionary, they are one and the same. Removing of a body part and altering a body part would be mutilation. But mutilation is a very hard word in that when you hear the word mutilation, you think of something worse than what it actually is. So I'm kind of contradicting myself. I understand that. But I'm just trying to have you see it from how I see it. Okay? Women in America used to have type 1A or 1B electively, but it was outlawed, and now only type 4 piercing and branding is allowed. Okay. There's different types of male circumcision. I wasn't aware of this either. This is, in India, if the boys are good at singing or are child prostitutes, they have a circumcision and removal of the testicles and part of the scrotum, so it is not baggy. I would consider that mutilation. Unless my sons had testicular cancer or were at a high enough risk of getting testicular cancer, for example, if it was hereditary, if every single man in my son's bloodline had testicular cancer and died, I would opt to maybe have my son's testicles removed. But it would have to be an extremely, he'd have to have like 100% risk of getting testicular cancer. This also says female circumcision is mostly less mutilating than male circumcision. But as you say, the penis still functions without foreskin. So if my daughter were still to be able to have sex without her clitoral hood, and it would reduce the risk of her dying, I would have it removed. So I guess from my point, I think as far as circumcision in either sex, male or female, you really have to weigh your pros and cons. I personally would not circumcise my children just based on religious beliefs. I wouldn't do that. Um, so, my husband was circumcised. He's not bothered by it. He said he would have rather been circumcised than run the risk of getting an infectious disease. Like I said, and that's why the two of us together had the boys circumcised. I'm not sure if I can say anything else really about it. I did learn a lot. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the views. I was really surprised. And I want to say that the comments were very mature and educational. And I think should there come a time for me to have grandchildren, I will definitely be doing more research on male circumcision and educating myself and my son and daughter-in-law in that regard. However, should they decide to circumcise their male child, that would be their decision. And then we get into the topic of consent, and that's for another video right there. Because like I said, as parents, we do things, generally speaking, for the betterment of our children's health. So, I just wanted to respond to the comments and the views, and maybe I'll do some more videos. I don't know. But thanks for your feedback, and you guys have a great day. Later days.